everybody, welcome to 2ZQ Hot Takes, where we discuss issues both big and small. I am your host, the very handsome Tim Kirk, and this time I'll be talking about circles. Not merely social circles, but geometry, music, and, apocryphally, Pythagoras. The word circle derives from the Greek kirkos, itself a metathesis of the Homeric Greek meaning hoop or ring. The origin of the word circus and circuit are closely related. I love the kirkos bit. Leave off the OS.
We got them crop circles from the UFO aliens flying all over the place.
The circle has been known since before the beginning of recorded history. Natural circles would have been observed, such as the moon, sun, and a short plant stalk blowing in the wind on sand, which forms a circle shape in the sand. The circle is the basis for the wheel, which, with related inventions such as gears, makes much of modern machinery possible. In mathematics, the study of the circle has helped inspire the development of geometry, astronomy, and calculus. Early science, particularly geometry and astrology and astronomy, astrology is science, was connected to the divine for most medieval scholars, and many believed that there was something intrinsically divine or perfect that could be found in circles. Some highlights in the history of the circle are 1700 BCE. The Rhind Papyrus gives a method to find the area of a circular field. I remember that day. 300 BCE, Book 3 of Euclid's Elements deals with the properties of circles. In Plato's 7th letter, forget the first 6, there is a detailed definition and explanation of the circle. Plato explains the perfect circle and how it is different from any drawing, words, definition, or explanation. 1800 CE, Lindemann proves that pi is transcendental, effectively setting the millennia-old problem of squaring the circle. In geometry, the area enclosed by a circle of radius r is pi r squared. Here, the Greek letter pi represents the constant ratio of the circumference of any circle to its diameter, approximately equal to 3.1416. One method of deriving this formula, which originated with Archimedes, involves viewing the circle as the limit of a sequence of regular polygons. The area of a regular polygon is half its perimeter multiplied by the distance from its center to its sides, and the corresponding formula that the area is half the perimeter times the radius, namely a, equals 1/2 times 2 pi r times r, holds in the limit for a circle. Although often referred to as the area of a circle in informal contexts, those chats we have, strictly speaking, the term disk refers to the interior of the circle, while circle is reserved for the boundary only, which is a curve and covers no area itself. Therefore, the area of a disk is the more precise phrase for the area enclosed by a circle, which is why a frisbee is a flying disk and not a flying circle. Frisbee is the greatest thing in the world. This is all from Wikipedia, by the way, with a few choice comments. Come, algebra! Modern mathematics can obtain the area using the methods of integral calculus or its more sophisticated offspring, real analysis. However, the area of a disk was studied by the ancient Greeks. Eudoxus of Sindus in the 5th century BC had found that the area of a disk is proportional to its radius squared. Archimedes used the tools of Euclidean geometry to show that the area inside a circle is equal to that of a right angle whose base has the length of the circle's circumference and whose height equals the circle's radius in his book, Measurement of a Circle. The circumference is 2 pi r, and the area of a triangle is half the base times the height, yielding the area pi r squared for the disk. Hippocrates of Chios was the first to show that the area of a disk is proportional to the square of its diameter, as part of his quadrature of the lune of Hippocrates, but did not identify constant of proportionality. A variety of arguments have been advanced historically to establish the equation area equals pi r squared, to varying degrees of mathematical rigor. The most famous of these is Archimedes' method of exhaustion, one of the earliest uses of mathematical concept of a limit, as well as the origin of Archimedes' axiom, which remains part of the standard analytical treatment of the real number system. The original proof of Archimedes is not rigorous by modern standards because it assumes that we can compare the length of an arc of a circle to the length of a secant and a tangent line, and similar statements about the area as geometrically evident. Following Archimedes' argument in the measurement of a circle, compare the area enclosed by a circle to a right triangle whose base has the length of the circle's circumference and whose height equals the circle's radius. If the area of a circle is not equal to that of the triangle, then it must be greater or less. We eliminate each of these by contradiction, leaving equality as the only possibility. We use regular polygons in the same way. I love the idea that mathematically, equality is the only way. Yes, queens. Now we go into the symbolism of a circle. What is the spiritual meaning? The spiritual meaning. You got your spirit in a circle. Written by Rose Putnam in Astrology, Dreams, and Numerology. Shapes appear in our lives everywhere we look. They literally shape our reality into a three-dimensional space and have a lot more influence over our lives than we realize. Circles are one of those shapes that can be seen in all parts of life. So, what is the deeper symbolism of a circle, and what impact does it have on us spiritually? A circle represents evolution as a process of transformation from death to birth, ending and beginning, as a circle has no beginning and no end. In this sense, a circle represents eternity. In many customs and spiritual beliefs, a circle represents the divine life force or spirit that keeps our reality in motion. It is symbolic of vitality, wholeness, completion, and perfection. There is such a vast canvas for circles to show up in life, and depending on where you are in your cycle of growth, a circle can mean something different for you. The meaning of shapes and symbols meets us when we are ready to listen and learn. However, understanding the foundations of what a circle represents may invite investigation to explore the deeper meaning symbolism of a circle in your life. Circles, unlike every other shape in our reality, are not linear. There is no corner, edge, or ending to mark where one line ends and another begins. This is important when looking at the broader symbolic meaning of a circle because energetically this holds a lot of meaning regarding the role that a circle plays in shaping our world. Circles hold and contain energy so that cycles of growth can exist within them. Okay. Just like a clock moving through time in a circular motion, we feel a sense that there is a beginning and end to the day. Yet, time never begins or ends. It just keeps moving in a circle. And every day we grow, learn, and change with the motions of time moving us along these cycles of the day. The human mind likes lines and logic to build the foundations and structures, so we place timelines on something that isn't linear. we see time as a line in which we move forward instead of a force of nature that keeps us spiraling into an upward motion in the shape of a circle. Looking at the cosmos, you can see that everything moves in circles and is shaped in spheres without beginning or end. No naturally occurring straight lines exist in space. Our entire universe shifts and forms in the shape of a circle. Spiritually, the circle represents a supernatural motion that keeps things moving continuously. A circle represents the heavens, whereas the earth and human form are seen as the square. On a larger scale, a circle represents the divine that keeps everything moving through spiritual law and order. Chung chung. On a smaller scale, a circle represents our own individual spiritual force that keeps us evolving. Symbolically, a circle represents the completion of cycles, transition, potential, and a movement that never ends towards self-realization. A circle protects against chaos and unpredictability and invites an element of trusting the universe. It symbolizes the natural order and progression that inspires us to keep going. A common way that symbols appear in our lives to give us spiritual or subconscious messages are in the form of dreams. We may not even realize the information that is being given to us by the shapes that appear to us in our dream language. A circle is one of those shapes that shows up frequently in dreams that can contain hidden messages. A circle in a dream represents a life lesson or challenge that you are going through that is contributing towards your inner growth and spiritual evolution. It can be meant to give you encouragement to trust the cycle you are in and that everything will work out if you don't give up. It can also be giving you information about your next spiritual steps. Circles usually appear in dreams when you are learning something, such as dreams where you are in a classroom or a training field. For example, you may be on a basketball team bouncing a ball, or you may be worried you are late for class, so you keep checking the round clock or running around in a circle looking for the right classroom. If a circle appears in a positive dream, it may mean that you are exactly where you need to be and things are working out exactly as they were planned. It can represent trusting your inner wisdom and using your spiritual gifts. If a circle appears in a negative dream, it can mean that you have a lack of direction and you keep moving in circles. That's a little ambiguous. The symbol may be guiding you to see the higher perspective of a situation and to lean into your intuition to resolve a challenge. You may also be thinking about things too linearly or logically, and you need to think in terms of growth and cycles. A finish line doesn't mean you are done. It means you are stepping into a new cycle. Spiritual and symbolic information usually represents a deeper meaning related to a vibration of the message being communicated. A common way for hidden meanings to show up in spiritual messages is through colors that hold deeper meanings. Depending on the color of the circle you see, you can gain deeper insight into the message. Who knew? A black circle represents the ending of a cycle and preparing for the beginning of a new cycle. It can represent a void or empty space that is ready to be filled up again. In a positive context, a black circle represents a transformation and emergence of a higher self. In a negative context, a black circle represents the pain, grief, and challenges of letting go of emotional or physical attachments. Okay. A white circle represents the beginning of a new cycle and opportunities for spiritual growth. It represents purity, perfection, and new life. In a positive context, a white circle represents spiritual evolution and beginning of a new cycle with a higher perspective. In a negative context, a white circle can represent someone stuck in spiritual growth and expressing abandonment of the physical reality for solely spiritual pursuits. Well, a red circle represents power, manifestation, and creation that divine flow can bring to a goal or intention. It can bring energy and vitality to cycles of stagnant growth. In a negative context, a red circle can be a warning that too much energy is being given to physical pursuits and give more attention to spiritual health. It could also be a red bubble gum or a balloon. A blue circle represents inner truth and wisdom that emerges from an evolved perspective. It is symbolic of the process of giving and receiving in terms of speaking and listening. In a positive context, a blue circle represents strong communication. In a negative context, a blue circle means beating around the bush or talking in circles around a problem. How about that? Green circle. A green circle represents the cycles of birth, growth, death, and transformation. It represents education and consuming knowledge in order to create. In a positive context, a green circle can inspire one to find your passion and to help others. In a negative context, a green circle can represent a rigid set of beliefs and a need to be more open-minded. Finally, a yellow circle represents creativity, imagination, and infinite possibilities. It is a very life-giving symbol, similar to the sun. In a positive context, a yellow circle can invite inspiration to become creative and think outside the box. In a negative context, a yellow circle can represent too much of a busy mind and too many creative ideas, but fear of actually creating anything. Well then, circles have appeared throughout history in mysterious ways that show them being regarded as highly spiritual shapes. Some examples include Stonehenge in England, in the article it's spelled Stonehenge, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the chakra wheel in Hinduism, the ancient Chinese symbol of the yin-yang, and many others. The circle was celebrated as a mystical and spiritual shape by humans earlier than we originally thought. Though evidence of Göbekli Tepe, I don't know how to say this, a temple built in Turkey estimated at being built 9000 BC, was the earliest discovered religious or sacred building constructed for purely spiritual purposes, and it is a structure in the shape of a circle. Circles to this day show up in some form of the most widespread religions and spiritual practices. In Zen Buddhism, the most well-known symbol of a circle is the enso, a circle drawn in one or two brushstrokes that is used to express a moment when the mind is free to let the body create. It represents enlightenment, the void, and the cycle of the universe. In Zen Buddhist teachings, the circle symbolizes the Heart Sutra, which states that form is empty and emptiness is form. The circle represents that at the root of all things is emptiness, yet emptiness does not mean nothing. It means releasing attachment to your perceptions and ideas and experiencing reality with an open mind is the key to enlightenment. In essence, the circle represents seeing reality as it really is, not what you believe or anticipate it to be. When you release your attachments and expectations of life, there are limitless potentials of what life can be, as is the nature of a circle. In Christianity, the circle represents eternity and a sacred union. A circle has been referred to many times in the Bible as the shape of heaven and as the beginning and ending of time. It does. The circle also appears frequently in Christian texts as a crown on the head, a halo over the head of an angel or a saint. It represents holiness, perfection, and the divine chosen ones. It is also used frequently as a symbol of a ring when two people are joined together in a sacred union. Here are some examples of the circle being used in the Bible to give spiritual meaning to the symbol. He covers the face of the full moon, spreading over it his cloud. He has inscribed a circle on the face of the waters of the boundary between light and darkness. Job 26:10. Thick clouds over him so that he cannot see, and he walks above the circle of heaven. Job 22:14. At the heart of numerology is, of course, numbers, which are very linear by nature. Numbers are used in math, science, and logical thinking. We determine all scientific theories based on if it can be supported by a mathematical equation. So how does a circle fit into numerology? In numerology, the circle is best represented by the number 10. The number 10 represents completion, wholeness, and perfection. The number 10 also reduces down the number 1. 1 plus 0 equals 1, which represents new beginnings and unknown potential. Just like a circle, the number 10 represents both a beginning and an end. It does. The number 10 represents the circle of necessity, which includes the process of birth, growth, death, and transformation, reincarnation. This is the process of evolution, and the oscillation between 1 and 10 makes this process last forever. I never knew that. Circles are the foundation in astrology because everything that exists in the cosmos operates in motions and patterns of circles. If you think about the planets, sun, stars, galaxies, they are all shaped in the form of circles or spirals. When you see how planets orbit and rotate, they all move in a circle. In a big spiral, I must add. Circles represent cycles, transitions, evolution, and revelation. They keep the planets rotating in a never-ending cycle. Yet, the borders of each circular orbit keep the planets contained in a predictable pattern so they don't fly off into space. These predictable patterns allow astrological placements to be analyzed. That's not saying anything for gravity. In this way, the circular motions in which all planets move are both limitless and contained. When looking at astrology symbols, the circle is most commonly associated with the sun, as it represents the center of our solar system and the foundation for all life to exist. The symbol of the sun in astrology is a circle with a dot in the middle. There are 12 zodiac signs that all form a circle around our solar system, and 12 houses partitioned in sections that complete a circle. The power of these being arranged in a circle is that it allows for never-ending cycles of movement through each sign with no beginning and no end, similar to how the heavens are described in holy texts such as the Bible. That's a bit of a reach. A circle in Feng Shui is a core shape that is used to invite uplifting and spiritual energy into the home. It represents the heavens and spiritual flow. Circles can make an area feel more open and inviting, bring a quality of freshness, and inspire new ideas and revelations. A circle is associated with the void in Chinese cosmology, representing the space before anything existed. Out of this void emerged the yin and yang, the feminine and masculine, rotating together to begin the formation of our universe. In Chinese cosmology, yang represents the heavens, circle, and yin represents the earth, square. Because of this, in Feng Shui, circles are often metal, which is a very yang energy to bring into the home. However, blending yin and yang elements together in a circle is also effective in bringing enlightenment and an evolved perspective into a space. Circles are most effective if placed in the northwest and northwest areas of your home. Some ideas of how you can incorporate circle energy into your home are circular pots for plants, round tables such as coffee tables or dining tables, polished round crystals decorated around the home, round essential oil diffusers, round candles, round ceramics such as plates, bowls, and mugs, arranging spiral rock formations in your garden. The circle is a very healing shape that invites vitality and strength into your life. It can be beneficial to incorporate the energy of a circle into your spiritual practice whenever you want to build life force energy and increase inspiration and passion in life. Well, here are some keywords that represent the lessons of a circle: life force, evolution, completion, ending, beginning, eternity, infinity, wholeness, perfection, focused, centered, higher perspective, heaven, cosmos. While this is one interpretation of the spiritual meaning and symbolism of a circle, everyone has their own spiritual symbolism that conveys a unique message that is right for you at this point in time. Sit still and listen to what a circle means to you and your spiritual journey. Well, thank you very much. Circles from Oxford Language. A round plane figure whose boundary, the circumference, consists of points equidistant from a fixed point, the center. Also, a group of people with shared professions, interests, or acquaintances. She did not normally move in such exalted circles. Similar: group, set, ring, company, body, coterie, clique, camp, league, faction, crowd, band, crew, gang, bunch, pack, squad, sphere, world, milieu, arena, domain, society. As a verb, third person present. Circles: move all the way around someone or something, especially more than once. We circled around the island. Similar: wheel, move around in circles, revolve, rotate, whirl, spiral, gyrate, go around, walk around, travel around, circumnavigate, orbit, revolve around, and circumambulate. In music, the circle of fifths. The definition of the circle of fifths is: the circle of fifths organizes pitches in a sequence of perfect fifths, generally shown as a circle with the pitches and their corresponding keys in a clockwise progression. Musicians and composers often use the circle of fifths to describe the musical relationships between pitches. Its design is helpful in composing and harmonizing melodies, building chords, and modulating to different keys within a composition. The circle of fifths is used to organize and describe the harmonic function of chords. Chords can progress in a pattern of ascending perfect fourths, alternately viewed as descending perfect fifths, in functional succession. This can be shown by the circle of fifths, in which, therefore, scale degree 2 is closer to the dominant than the scale degree 4. In this view, the tonic is considered the endpoint of a chord progression derived from a circle of fifths. Some sources imply that Pythagoras invented the circle of fifths in the 6th century BC, but there is no proof of this. Pythagoras was primarily concerned with the theoretical science of harmonics and is credited with having devised a system of tuning based upon the interval of a fifth, but did not tune more than 8 notes, and left no written records of his work. In the late 1670s, Ukrainian composer and theorist Nikolai Diletsky wrote a treatise on composition entitled Grammatica, the first of its kind, aimed at teaching a Russian audience how to write Western-style polyphonic compositions. It taught how to write concerti, a polyphonic a cappella works usually based on liturgical texts and created by putting together musical sections with contrasting rhythm, meter, melodic material, and vocal grouping. Diletsky intended his treatise to be a guide to composition using rules of music theory. The first circle of fifths appears in the Grammatica and was used for students as a composition tool. In practice, compositions rarely make use of the entire circle of fifths. More commonly, composers make use of the compositional idea of the cycle of fifths when music moves consistently through a smaller or larger segment of the tonal structural resources which the circle abstractly represents. According to Richard Taruskin, Arcangelo Corelli was the most influential composer to establish the pattern as a standard harmonic trope. They say trope. It was precisely in Corelli's time, the late 17th century, that the circle of fifths was being theorized as the main propeller of harmonic motion, and it was Corelli more than any one composer who put that new idea into telling practice. Bach and Handel were Baroque composers who learnt to enhance the propulsive force of the harmony engendered by the circle of fifths by adding sevenths to the most constituent chords. These sevenths, being dissonances, created the need for resolution, thus turning each progression of the fifth circle into a simultaneous reliever and re-stimulator of harmonic tension, hence harnessed for expressive purposes. They were so manipulative. The concept has been employed by such classical composers as Schubert, Mendelssohn, Schumann, Wagner, Ravel, and in jazz and popular music, the enduring popularity of the circle of fifths as both a form-building device and as an expressive musical trope is evident in the number of standard popular songs composed during the 20th century. It is also favored as a vehicle for improvisation by jazz musicians. An example is Bart Howard's composition, Fly Me to the Moon. The song opens with a pattern of descending phrases. In essence, the hook of the song presented with a soothing predictability, almost as if the future direction of the melody is dictated by the opening 5 notes. The harmonic progression for its part rarely departs from the circle of fifths. Other examples, Jerome Kern, All the Things You Are, Ray Noble, Cherokee, Cosmo, Prevert and Mercer, Autumn Leaves, The Beatles, You Never Give Me Your Money, Mike Oldfield, Incantations, Carlos Santana, Europa, Earth's Cry, Heaven's Smile, Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive, Pet Shop Boys, It's a Sin, and Donna Summer, Love to Love You, Baby. Now, related concepts. The diatonic circle of fifths. The circle of fifths is closely related to the chromatic circle, which also arranges the 12 equal tempered pitch classes in a circular ordering. A key difference between the two circles is that the chromatic circle can be understood as a continuous space where every point on the circle corresponds to a conceivable pitch class, and every conceivable pitch class corresponds to a point on the circle. By contrast, the circle of fifths is fundamentally a discrete structure, and there is no obvious way to assign pitch classes to each of its points. In this sense, the two circles are mathematically quite different. So there you go. Intellectualism in artistic composition. We also have more examples. Circles by Post Malone. All My Life's a Circle by Harry Chapin. Will It Go Round in Circles by Billy Preston. Round and Round by Spandau Ballet. Round and Round by Rat. You Spin Me Round Like a Record by Dead or Alive. And Because the World is Round by the Beatles. Thanks for listening. See you next time. And as the kiddies say, peace out.